around how to use Optimal Blue when we run into issues on lock. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to give control to Jeff. Also, just a little tip on the lock desk. I found the best place to do is to call in the lock number. If you ever have any questions, they're way faster over the phone. So like Jamie Villarreal, like she's been awesome, by the way,
That's
Jeff.
great. Thank you.
Like anytime I have, like whenever I'm panicking and freaking out, it's because usually I can't get a hold of Jeff because, you know, I want help with some. But if you call the CCM lock desk 440-262-3988, I usually get an answer real quick. But
Yep.
all right, there we go. So Jeff, you take it over. Show me what you think would be some good tips for me and the branch.
All right. So the first thing that I'll say is anytime that you come into a file, if regardless on what your action is, I would take temperature on the status of what was and what is by verifying on the lock comparison CC. It's pretty
Okay,
simple.
I never go to that screen. Okay.
Right at the top, it says yes or no. Has anything changed? Here's your lock confirmed data. Here's your current data. And it tells you if anything's changed. Now, look, the DTI has changed. It got better, but because it got lower, it doesn't trigger you to have to go do a profile.
That's big. That's big, especially now with like, isn't it August when if you go over 40, there's going to be a hit? Isn't that?
Yeah, I have a feeling that one's probably not going to make it because it's a little bit, I'm opinionated, so we'll stay out of our.
No, that's great. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
but that's good. I would not have known where to
Yeah.
go see that change. So that's very helpful to see this screen.
Anytime that and this is available to everyone. So on this screen, you have a couple of options, right? There's one-click profile change, which will update your file based on the way that the file sits currently. You do not need to have an Optimal Blue login to use this. Any processor can do it.
Wow.
If there is a yes here, and this is like an agency loan, low hanging fruit, they do a one-click profile change. It takes them out to a website. You can bookmark that website. You don't even have to go into the loans to execute them. All you need is an Encompass login, and you can go and execute a one-click profile change. It emails everybody who's on the loan and says, hey, a profile change was just executed. Your price was 99.5. Your price is 99.5 or 99.25. You may need to, redisclose. And it lets everyone know, hey, there was a price change. Go have a conversation with the people that you work with so that you can identify if there needs to be a disclosure or change.
That's great.
All right. So we'll only update the lock based on the way that the file currently sits.
Okay.
It'll give you a couple changes to switch from like Fannie to Freddie, but it won't allow you to make material changes. If you want to make material changes, you'll need to go into Optimal Blue. You can go into OB a couple of ways. There's a button here.
Yeah, I always just do the drop down lock. Yeah, and I go search for product pricing.
Yeah,
that's what I
go in through here. Some people go through the services tab.
Yeah, you can do either one. Yeah. Okay.
There's under tools, there's lock form. You can request lock through there. Like there's a bunch of ways that you can do it. So I'm going in, obviously we're going in as you, Jackson. So like this is you. And then we're going to talk about a couple of things that we see regardless. Now there's no material changes here required. So like there's nothing stopping this file from moving through the pipeline, but this has been submitted to initial review. Let's say that maybe you just got your appraisal back and you're locked out of updating the appraised value because this loan's been submitted to underwriting.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I just had a couple loans like that. Yeah.
Optimal Blue has push and pull data, so you could actually update your appraised value here.
Yep.
Do a profile change and push that data back over to Encompass, even with restricted access.
That's good to know. Okay.
So like
here's also another screen I just realized. So Jeff, you were ultimately ended up being correct. So I will admit I was wrong. For a while, I kept saying there's no way to change like this right here. My processor finally pointed it out to me. I could not find it because I was so used to, I was always used to looking for it down here. I didn't know to go up here. So there've been so many times where like I locked a loan, Fannie, but at one point I did run Freddie Mac. And so for some reason on the transmittal summary, it was triggering to a lot. And so I couldn't do it.
It's a business
this little
rule, right?
screen right here has saved me because like there were like several times when I got stuck where I'd go to the transmittal summary and it wouldn't let me it wouldn't when I was trying to pull pricing. And so either way, keep going, but that's a little tip I just learned.
And So that's, yeah, and like that's another thing. Like, let's say we want to compare Fannie Freddie, whatever it is, right? 80%. Any material changes, we can reprice and rebuild our scenario here. This will always spit back out day of lock pricing. It's never going to fail you. You don't
Yeah.
have to execute the
Because you did
profile change.
profile change, it's going to
Correct.
say
So
same day
let's,
pricing, right? But if you did
yeah,
product change and we're trying to
well,
flip to like FHA, for example, it would be
yeah,
today's pricing plus the pricing hit,
it would
right?
evaluate worst case depending on
Yeah.
your selection.
So that's the
So, but
difference between profile
here,
change and product change.
here, we know what profiles changes do, but like there's something more dynamic going on here that we can talk about, which is we know that it's pulling back day of lock pricing. So if my borrower wants to talk about different rate options or different structure options, I can go in here and price those out, repull day of lock pricing without executing the change. I can utilize the
Yes,
profile
and
change.
that was the other thing that someone taught me was this right here where the drag, you gotta
Yes,
hover. I because
over.
for when I was
Yeah.
first here, I got so frustrated, Jeff. That was one reason I called you, I think last like May and was like freaking out. I was like,
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
switch to a 30, I need to switch to a wait,
That
how
was
do
a
you
product
hover?
change. Well, you
Hover over the
can
30 year. Because if I wanted to, if they wanted to switch to
on
15, don't you
you
hover? Is it where does it?
okay, so let's talk about that. So
Uh
you can't really hover on profile changes. You hover on product changes. And
Oh, okay, that's what it is. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So if I like, for
so
example, let's say they wanted to switch to an ARM or they wanted to switch to a 15 year, um, those are things that I was wanting to price out and I couldn't figure out. So in that situation, if I was saying, hey, I want to look at switching to FHA or I want to look to flip to a 15 year, I would go through um product
the product
change
change.
and then I would
Right.
hover over this where
Yeah, yeah.
well
No,
if you
it's same
hover
thing.
it
Yep.
the drop down menu, yeah, there we go,
Yeah.
right?
It goes. No, no, no. Like it will on the product change. It like they open
Yep.
up. And so when we're
Okay, keep
talking
going.
about like, and so when we're talking about what's going on here, and this is going to be the same display for the thing that triggered us to have this conversation, which was a relock.
Yep, that I didn't know how to
Whenever,
do.
and you utilize it's in that same section instead of profile change, it defaults to relock because it's an expired loan. But regardless, no matter what we're doing in
What
Optimal Blue, if we're ever going to compare a change, this is our current data, right? So anytime I'm looking to determine what is going to happen versus how the loan sits right now, I'm looking at what's my current price. My current
Yep,
price is right here, even on a relock. What's proposed is down here. You can pop open,
yep.
you can rebuild your scenario, you can change from Fannie to Freddie, waive escrows, add a temporary buy down. Like you change it from 80% LTV to 95% LTV, all that regardless. This will always be your baseline of where am I at now versus what is this
Oh,
showing
okay.
me of where
Got
I'm
it. So
going,
that's what you
right?
use as your comparison. So if we were
That's
going
how I
back to that
navigate.
scenario, I was freaking out of it earlier and said, hey, I need to reprice this loan. I forgot to
Yep.
extend the rate lock and the lock
Mhm.
expired.
Yep.
Walk me through that step again.
All right. So
Yeah,
what you would do, I can't really walk you through it because this loan's not expired, but it would default to a
got
relock,
it. It'd
right?
be under relock. Okay, that's where I
All
go.
these would
I
have,
didn't,
yep,
I'd never been in a
all the,
situation like that, but I
yeah.
would
So
go to relock, but then I would still see my base price at the
up
top,
at
like
the
you were just
top,
talking
right?
about. It
So
would,
what would happen on relock is it's going to default to relock, right? We'll just go through profile
yeah, go through
changes
profile for the sake
and
of it. Yeah.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
And so it would feel like the same up top. It's going to show you who you're locked with. And then it's going to give you options just like it does when you initially lock, when you pop this open to click 30, 15, or 7, right? Same way that
Got
you
it.
choose 15-day, 30, 45-day lock terms, you choose your relock term. And relock is only the comparison of worst case of current market or today, and then we charge you for an extension. So in your instance, remember the market
Yeah.
didn't fade off that much, and it was only a 7-day extension, so it ended up being pretty reasonable. We
Yeah, it
ended up
wasn't
working
too
it out.
bad. Yeah.
It wasn't too bad. And so before you go freaking out, like I lost my lock, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's see what we're talking about. Like
Yeah.
let's just okay. We're at 98.4. When I will let you know this right now, when you go into relock, it defaults to 30 days, which is 0.625 off worst case pricing. So it's going to be a bit of a sticker shock initially.
Yeah,
Make
so
sure you
drop it
toggle to
down to
that
7
7-day.
and it'll look a
Yeah,
lot better.
or yeah, that 15-day, whatever you need. And then, you know, then when it looks scary there, that's when let's have those conversations about, you know, like
Yeah.
what we need to do to salvage the deal. So when it comes to profile changes, there's a lot that can be taken away from. We can use it as a pricing engine from day of lock pricing to discuss different terms with our borrower without even effectively making a change. We can use profile change to abstractly allow changes to be made in Encompass that are technically restricted to us based on critical milestone and persona. We can actually make the changes, i.e. change the rate, change from Fannie to Freddie. We can waive impounds. We can do anything we want at any time without restriction, all with profile change. We now understand a little bit better about how to look at Optimal Blue's user interface and identify what our current terms are versus what the proposed changes are. And now I think that it's a really good time for us to talk about the difference between profile change and product changes and when you should really contact the lock desk.
Yeah.
So when you guys talk about profile products, you guys sell different products as an ARM, as a fixed rate, like products mean a lot to you guys. To secondary, it's very simple. When you pull up any MBS site, there are two products, UMBS and Ginnie Mae. They're not interchangeable. That's it. There's conforming
Okay.
and Govy. Now you can hedge with multiple instruments with like terms, if it's ARMs, but we're pretty just generic, right? It's just those are it. And so because those things are not interchangeable, if you need to switch, not only do we have to pay transaction fees to kill and fill and lift and switch the coverage, but we also have to pay the difference in the market because we had a trade and now it's either less valuable or more valuable, but now current market is more valuable or less valuable. And so there's economics that need to be balanced no matter what.
Okay.
So the only time that you should use product change is if you're making that change specifically, and that's it. Optimal Blue has restrictions. There's no hit to go from VA to FHA to USDA, right? Because those are all Ginnie trades. Like that's a
Yeah,
Ginnie
those are
trade.
all in the same. Okay.
And I would give you day of lock with no penalty, but OB doesn't understand profile changes should be able to open up this box and change it because profile changes change in a very uniform fashion. So that's a restriction that Optimal Blue has. If you're USDA, you can't get USDA approved and you need to switch to FHA, you have to email the lock desk. You'll hurt yourself. Now, if you tried to do a product change, we would reject it and tell you and say, hey, this is Govy to Govy.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So, and it's the same thing with term changes, right? From a 30-year to a 15-year, as long as it's conforming to conforming, is a conforming trade. Same thing with fixed to ARM, as long as the execution type doesn't change. And what I mean by that is if you stay Fannie 30-year to Fannie 15-year to Fannie 7/6 ARM, Fannie Direct is all hedged. But if you do that Fannie 15 or Fannie 30 to Fannie 15, okay, that's hedged. But then you say, well, I want a conforming ARM, but Carnegie or M&T is a better conforming price. Well, now we're changing execution types, right? Now let's consider what we're doing. We're blowing our hedge position to take out a best effort lock. There's implications. There's economic implications for blowing a hedge position. A relock fee has to apply there. It doesn't matter that you're staying conforming in that instance because then the execution type changes. Go ahead.
Hold on one second. Sorry, I had another call that's coming in. So I just told him I was gonna that I'm going to I just need a minute. So here, just to clear that up. If I heard you correctly, we can go from 30 to 15, and because it's all in the same hedge, that's okay.
It's all good. Yeah.
Okay. This has been enormously helpful, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Good.
I'm going to record this, save this. I'm going to share this with my branch. Hopefully this reduces
Yeah.
less of us calling you and freaking out, right? The more we become
Yep.
educated and we understand how to use Optimal Blue, you know,
Right.
the better we're able to utilize the tool you're giving us. So thank you very much for
Sure.
taking the time to meet with me. I really appreciate it.
Got it, man. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks. Bye.